She did not plan to step into the vast silence of the Grand Canyon alone. Life brought her there like a river pushed by an unseen wind. A young woman carrying years of quiet battles and half-healed wounds she never spoke about. She wanted only one thing: a moment of breath, a moment of peace, a moment where the world would stop long enough for her heart to stop shaking. The sky was a deep blue that morning, the kind of blue that looked like it could hold 1,000 secrets. She walked along the trail with the steady rhythm of someone who had been strong for too long. Her backpack felt light. Her steps felt certain. But fate has a way of testing the very people who try to escape their pain. She took one wrong turn. One small shift in the path. One moment of trusting her instinct instead of the signs. And the trail slowly disappeared behind her like a vanishing dream. At first, she did not worry. She believed she could retrace her steps. She believed the canyon would guide her back. The canyon had other plans. Hours slipped away like sand falling through open fingers. The sun climbed higher. The heat thickened. Her water thinned. And a quiet realization settled into her bones. She was lost. Not the simple kind of lost, but the kind of lost where the world feels too big and you feel too small. Where the rocks seem to whisper warnings. Where the shadows feel like watchers. Where every direction looks the same. She called out. Her voice echoed against ancient stone. No answer. Only the canyon returning her own fear back to her. Night arrived like a curtain pulled across the sky. She curled beneath a ledge, listening to the wind move through the walls like a soft, mournful song. She hugged her knees and whispered a promise to herself. I will not die here. The next morning she stood, every muscle aching, every thought heavy. But she moved, step after step. Because sometimes survival begins long before you realize you are fighting for your life. For days she wandered. Her lips cracked. Her breath shaky. Her feet burning against the blistering earth. She learned to drink water from places she never would have considered. She learned to rest in small pockets of shade like a wounded bird hiding from the sun. She learned that fear can break you, but it can also awaken a strength you never knew you had. On the fourth day she slipped. A loose stone. A single moment of imbalance. Her body tumbled down a rocky slope. Sharp edges clawed her skin. Dust filled her lungs. She landed hard. Pain shot through her leg. And for a moment she lay still, feeling the heavy weight of defeat press against her chest. Tears gathered. Her voice cracked. She whispered to the sky. Why me? But the canyon gave no answer. Only silence. Only heat. Only the persistent truth that no one was coming. Not yet. So she pushed herself up again. Her leg trembling. Her breath uneven. She dragged herself through the dust. Every inch earned through will alone. She found a small pool of water in the shadow of a red rock arch. She leaned down, hands shaking, and drank as if the world were returning to her. The water tasted like life. Raw, sharp, unbelievably precious. Days blended into each other. Light, heat, darkness, cold, hope, despair. Like a cycle designed to test the limits of the human spirit. She saw no people, no trails. Only the endless maze of stone carved by time and storms older than memory. Sometimes she sang to herself, just to remember that she was still human, still alive, still something more than a lost shadow moving through ancient land. On the 10th day she woke with a numbness in her limbs. Her body weak. Her vision dim. The hunger inside her had become a phantom clawing at her ribs. But she stood up again. Because she had made herself another promise. No one would ever write her story as a tragedy. She walked slowly, carefully, feeling the canyon tilt and sway around her. Her thoughts drifting between memories. Her mother's laughter. Her father's advice. The friend she lost last year. The dreams she had packed away. All of them walked with her. All of them lifted her when her knees threatened to give in. On the 13th night she collapsed, her body unable to fight the cold. She curled against the earth, breath thin, eyes half closed. A single thought drifting like smoke. Maybe this is where I end. But morning came. Warm, bright, insistent. And she opened her eyes again with a gasp. She was still alive. fragile, but alive. She forced herself up, her hands shaking, her heart pounding, a stubborn fire burning somewhere beneath the exhaustion. She whispered to herself, "One more step. Just one." She repeated that promise over and over. One more step. One more step. One more step. Until the words felt like a heartbeat. Until the pain faded into the background. Until she no longer questioned her own strength. On the 17th day, she saw something. A thin line in the distance that did not belong to the natural curves of the canyon. A reflection. A shimmer. A man-made glint. Hope rushed through her tired body. She moved toward it. Falling. Crawling. Standing. Falling again. Until she reached a ridge where she could see it clearly. A small helicopter far away, sweeping the canyon in a slow arc. Searching. Searching for her. She waved her arms. A weak, desperate movement. But enough. Enough for someone to see a flicker of motion in a dead, quiet land. Enough for someone to change direction. Enough to bring life rushing toward her in a roar of blades and dust. She collapsed as the rescue team reached her. Her body trembling. Her voice gone. But her eyes open. Wide. Alive. Victorious. When they lifted her into the helicopter, she looked down at the canyon that nearly took her life. And she felt no anger. No hatred. Only gratitude. Because those 18 days stripped her to her core. And showed her what she was made of. Strength. Resilience. Courage. And an unbreakable will to survive. In the hospital, her doctors called her miraculous. A survivor. A fighter. A woman who defied odds that should have crushed her. But she shook her head gently. Her voice soft. "I was just done giving up." She healed slowly. Scars forming like quiet signatures of everything she endured. And every night she closed her eyes with a sense of peace she had never known before. Because she learned something in that canyon. Something simple but powerful. You do not truly meet yourself until you are forced to stand alone against the world. And when you rise from that, nothing, and no one, can take your strength away. Her story spread across states and screens. People found hope in her footsteps. People found courage in her journey. People found a reminder that the human spirit can stretch far beyond its limits, as long as the heart refuses to surrender. And she continued forward, living her life with a quiet fire, a soft bravery, a deep understanding that every sunrise is a gift, and every breath is a victory. She survived the canyon. But more than that, she discovered the parts of herself she had forgotten. The parts that had been waiting to be found. The parts that were never lost. And for the rest of her life, she carried one truth with her. A truth written not in words, but in the beat of her heart. Strength is not something you are born with. It is something you become.